One of the things that in the Holy Father has asked us in the year of faith is to really look at our faith, renew it. I really see for myself it's been in four areas. And there are these: believe, become, belong, and be love. This summer, I went with my two nephews, Patrick and Joseph, and we went on a pilgrimage to Rome. And it was really to celebrate 25 years I've been ordained, and my two nephews entered the seminary this year, and so we were able to make this pilgrimage to Rome. And one of the things that stuck with me since I went was the experience we had going to the tomb of St. Peter. And at the necropolis, which is under the basilica, we were able to, the guide we had shown us these two coffins. So one of them was from a first century pagan, the other was from a first century Christian. And it was a very stark difference between these two coffins. The pagan's tomb was very ornate. It was made out of marble, intricately carved, and this guy had been a hunter. That's one of the things that he had enjoyed in his life. And so the guide explained to us that this particular Roman first century person was, as being a pagan, that's all there is the life we live here on earth. And so it was real important to show that this person enjoyed life, lived it to the fullest, did all that he wanted to do. And so as a great hunter, that was depicted on his coffin. But then that's the end. There's nothing else after that. The Christian's tomb, his coffin was very, very simple. It had a cross on it, a little mosaic cross, and it had just very, very lightly decorated, but just mostly with symbols, Christian symbols. And the guide explained to us that this particular coffin, the Christian, their life was lived to live a life of Christ because there's resurrection. And so it's really living the life of Christ, because this isn't all there is. In fact, it's the very smallest part of what truly is. And so the Christian, his hope is very different than what the pagan's is, because the pagan has none. And when he visits the cemetery, he's witnessing the end, whereas the Christians see it as new birth and the beginning of eternity. So there it is, a stark thing of these two tombs there, and it really challenged me. You know, I think many of us, although we might profess to be Catholics, profess to be Christians, we functionally live as pagans. And so in this year of faith, it's a real important for us to look at how we're in the world and how we're of the world. And it was a real challenge to me. This image of these two tombs has stayed before me for the last 6 months or so. One of the things that in the Holy Father has asked us in the year of faith is to really look at our faith, renew it. I really see for myself it's been in four areas. And there are these: believe, become, belong, and be love. And so each one of them are areas where I feel challenged by what the Pope is calling us to do. Believing, we have to really renew our faith and look at the fact that I really believe in the faith that I have. Do I really believe in my priesthood? Is it just a career for me, or is it truly, as we believe in the church, you know, we experience an ontological change that we're configured to Christ, as we say. And so to really believe in a more deeper way my priesthood, and to recognize my call to be and believe in Christ, and to believe in the priesthood He's given to me, and to live out of that belief. And so that also challenges me not to get caught up in the way the world looks at things, which is, this is really all there is, so just do it, or live life to the fullest, and we really kind of, in that sense, try to stay away from God as long as we can. And so the challenge is really surrender to God, and to believe in His providence and to live out of it. The second thing is becoming. You know, it's becoming Christ. And that's really the goal of the Christian life, to become Christ, to become a part of him. And so it's a process, becoming. So I have to remember that, you know, in my own faith life, it's not me that makes myself holy. It's the Holy Spirit in me. It's God who has to draw me to himself. And so to surrender to him and to realize that it's a process. And there are certainly moments along this process, but I can't get flustered because I'm always concerned about getting there. What's important is to be where I am at the moment I am in my life, and that requires great trust in God, and trust in his mercy, trust in his presence. And so to continue to keep focusing myself on Christ in the midst of things I struggle with. The other thing is to realize that I belong. Who do I belong to? And who, in my choices that I make every day, what does it say about who I belong to? And I belong to Christ, and I belong to the church. And so to me, that's important for me to continue to renew my my love for the church, my love for Christ, and to really belong to that. It means I belong not only to the Lord, but that entails that I belong to everyone else, especially those who are part of the church. And so it's important for me to look at how I live my life on a daily basis, how I deal with people, how I act in the customer service line, because that's the place where I really had a tough time. So belonging and knowing who I belong to, and that affecting what I choose every day. And then finally, it's to be loved. St. Teresa, little flower, said, at the heart of the church, I will be loved. That's her vocation she discovered, and it's the essence of every Christian person's vocation, is to love. And so it's really coming to love at the heart of Christ, and to really desire to be in union with him. And it's something that Jesus speaks of in chapter 17 of John's Gospel, when he's praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, according to John. And Jesus speaks about us being one with him, as he is one with the Father, that we might also be one with him. And so becoming love, being love, is something that is the challenge for us every day, and certainly a challenge for me. One of the great things in my own life that I consider a great gift is having a disease, multiple sclerosis. And this disease is a very debilitating disease. It affects the nerves, the brain and spinal cord. Your own white blood cells attack the myelin sheath around those nerves. And so it's a hard disease to live with, because you never know from one day to the next what's going to happen, and you don't know the severity that the disease the course that it will take in your body. So for myself, I live with a lot of pain pretty much every day, and every now and then there's things that I experience that are caused by my disease. But it's been a great gift to me, because it's allowed me to have an intimacy with Christ on the cross, and to allow that suffering to be a real gift for me. And it's really challenged me, because the Lord has been very clear with me that that I need to look at him. So when my fears come up, I would say, for instance, an example, what if I become useless? And being from good German Polish stock, you know, at home when my mom was very good about keeping everything in its place and keeping everything clean. So like, if you got up in the middle of the night to get a drink of water and you came back, your bed was made. So being useless would be a bad thing. And so what happens in the society we live in, where when something's no longer useful, we discard it, or we warehouse people often when they're no longer useful. And the Lord came up to me very, very clearly and spoke to me and said, well, you know, talking about useful, he said, so let me get this straight with you. You love my works more than me. And that's what the fear really brought out very clearly, because if the Lord was saying to me, do you just love my works, or do you love me? And so I didn't want that to be true for me. And the Lord in his mercy really called me or has shined his light in my darkness to help me to see I don't need to be worrying about being useless. What I need to be rejoicing about really is the fact that I'm with the Lord. And so with this disease, that's the way it's going to be. And now that 10 years later, 10 or 12 years later, that's how I've tried to live with this disease. And so far, so good. There's other experiences I've had with my disease where the Lord's become very present to me. Once I remember I was at Creighton University and studying, and I got had this experience. So it's called topical numbness, and I just kind of froze with this fear of, what if I get left behind? And so sometimes if you get in MS, you might end up in a wheelchair. You might end up very disabled. That can't even get out of bed. And so what if you get left behind from everybody? It's a big fear. And the Lord said to me right at that moment, well, I'm going to be with you. Is my presence not enough for you? And that's what got me out of my fear. So what that's taught me to do is to keep my eyes fixed on Christ and not to become self-absorbed in my own victimization, my own suffering, but to keep my eyes fixed on Christ, believing in Him, becoming Him, belonging to Him, being in love with Him, and loving as He loves, to be loved. And when I keep my focus on Him, that I don't get self-absorbed, I don't get caught up in my fears, and like Peter began to sink, I'm able to walk on water because I'm looking at the Lord. And that to me is a great challenge for all of us. And this year of faith is really to refix our gaze on Christ. And so that's the challenge I'm trying to live this year. And I really hope that this year of faith for all of us is a time where we really let go of the things that keep us that make us self-absorbed, and to fix our gaze on Christ so that whatever comes, we can walk on water.